This year's event was round 3 of the SA Off-Road Championship presented by Bankfin, ABSA's specialist vehicle and asset finance division. Mohammed Noor and Mohammed Molson in the Raceco Porsche were the sole remaining Class S crew in the race. Neil Woolridge and Ken Scholthammer had dropped way down the leaderboard. A puncture and an overheating engine on the Team Ford Racing Ranger were the reasons.
What's the plan? Let's check it. Believe the temperature is 115 degrees. 115 degrees. The water temperature.
A failed power steering slowed their pace dramatically on the Nissan Sugarbelt 400, and they could ill afford problems of a different kind on the Toyota 1000 Desert Race. Maybe the overheating problem could be sorted out at the service point. The service point at Mansuabishi was a hive of activity, and teams awaited the arrival of their chargers. Predictably, Khanil de Villiers and Francois Jordan were the first to complete the 223-kilometre southern loop of the Toyota 1000 Desert Race. The proudly South African Nissan hardbody hadn't missed a beat and was followed by Hannes Grobler and Richard Leek, who won the event in 2002. A steady, well-paced performance from Brandon Harkes and Gary Berthold in the BAT had earned them a lead of almost 6 minutes over Moore and Werner in the Chenoweth. Duncan Foss and Mike Griffith were experiencing oil pressure problems on the third proudly South African Nissan hardbody and had to be satisfied with 4th overall at this point. Atang Makhaganene and Mike Stangel's race strategy was going according to plan, and they had moved from 9th at the start to 2nd in the special vehicle category. Bevan Berthold and Richard Rutz had had an eventful day so far, with a number of off-road excursions taking their toll on the Matrix vehicle tracking BAT. It was unlikely that this damage could be easily repaired. Api Reinecker and Robin Houghton's Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser limped into the service point and, like the BAT, would not be easily repairable.
We were flying through the bush in our Matrix BAT and we had a few problems. We came across a few rocks that ran out and put us off the road, so we went back again. Then we hit a tree, okay, bigger problem, front arm off, so we came back again. Then the reverse gear went in the gearbox, now we stopped. Very nice race, thank you very much for a good event.
We were charging on Duncan to put pressure on him to give way for us, so you can't read the road properly. And it was in this thick, twisty sand, and all of a sudden we sort of, the side of this track gripped the one wheel, and it sort of pulled the vehicle out of the tracks, and we hit a tree slightly, but the tree put us totally off balance, put our car sideways, and we hit another tree and another tree. So that was totally disastrous because all the front steering rods were bent, the front diff is bent, the shock absorbers, everything, and that was about 15 k's out. We had a flat and we had to change that quickly, and then we sort of came in very slowly.
Hierdie ronde gaan het baie goed. Geen papwiele nie. Ja. 'n paar harde slote geslaan, maar wat die bakkie is nog reg.
There were minor problems in the O'Hagan's Kopaling Hotel Super Team camp.
Fantastic, no problems at all. Just a little shift, the linkage is a bit loose, so Backling to select the gears, so we've been stuck in second and third, which is fine. We'll fix it quickly now. Nothing on a big trip.
A missing grub screw on the gear linkage was found to be the cause of the gear selection problems on the BMW 540 V8 powered Jimco, but the repair cost them 39 minutes.
We went round the corner and the right rear wheel dug in. We went on two wheels for about 50 meters and then we just couldn't hang on to it and rolled right over. Right in the middle of the road, so everybody was forced to stop to help us because we closed the road. Next week's longer, 275. Longer than the first week.
I don't know, we've got a problem with a coolant side, and from early this morning, within 30 k's this morning, suddenly the temperature was right up. We stopped, it took 3 liters of water, and we continued. We thought maybe there's just a bit of air in the system, but no, it's just got worse and worse as the days progressed, and I think we have to call it a day, Live to fight another day.
The Toyota technicians took 1 hour and 45 minutes to repair the damage to the Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser, and, much to the delight of the fans, Reyneke and Houghton were on their way again. De Villiers had overcome his motion sickness, and he and Jordan continued their charge at the head of the field with proudly South African Nissan teammates Grobler and Leek 6 minutes behind them in second place. Foss and Griffith made it a Nissan 123, but the engine wasn't sounding too healthy. Makhakanene and Stangl took the special vehicle lead soon after leaving the pits. He wasn't satisfied with leading the category. His objective was to lead the race overall, and he upped his pace to try and catch the Nissans. Haasbroek and Skeppers were 4th overall in the production vehicle category and led Class D by 18 minutes in the Castrol Toyota Land Cruiser. Class E leaders Mark Cronje and Chris Birkin were 5th overall in the Castrol Toyota Hilux 2.7i. Being a karter, Cronje is used to short sprint races and has found having to adjust to the long, sometimes tedious sections in off-road racing to be his biggest challenge. At this point, they had 18 minutes in hand over Schroeder and Peckham in the Team Ford Racing Ranger. In a phenomenal performance, Andrew Birkin was now 2nd overall in the special vehicle category and the Class B leader by over 12 minutes from Taylor and de Chalane in the Rollerbach Racing JRE. The Shell Connex Chenoweth is a formidable machine, but Moore and Werner were forced to ease their pace due to the Porsche motor consuming vast amounts of oil. Labuschagne and Gerber were 6th overall in the production vehicle category and 2nd in Class D in the GBS Racing Nissan. Class B champions Marcus Taylor and Mark de Chalane had their debut Class B win on last year's Toyota 1000 Desert Race, and with another 650 kilometers of racing to go, they were quite happy to be 2nd in class. Former Class E champions Manfred Schroeder and Jack Peckham started 59th in the Team Ford Racing Ranger and had moved up 48 places to occupy 2nd place in Class E. Circuit racing drivers Zane Pierce and Henny Vosloo were 3rd in Class E and 12th overall despite rolling the high-Q Ford Ranger on the southern loop, while veteran Phil Nell in the Look Africa Truckie was 3rd in Class B and 5th overall in the special vehicle category. Farmer MC Kutsia and Marius Liebenberg had finally got to grips with their GBS Racing Nissan and held down 3rd in Class D, but had Class E husband and wife crew Niels and Zelda van der Walt in hot pursuit in the Nissan hardbody double cab. Despite consuming vast quantities of oil, the Atlas Copco Chicago pneumatic Jeep with Richard Carroll at the wheel was 4th in Class T and 11th overall in the production vehicle category. Brothers Yuri and Andre Duplessis from Petersburg were having a steady run in the Class E BB Auto Nissan Hardbody, in which they picked up one class win in 2002. Kasi Kutsia and Oki Furia dropped down the ranks in the Castrol Toyota Hilux KZTE. Kutsia won the Toyota 1000 Desert Race in 1992 and 1993, also in the Toyota. KZN crew Gavin Gray and Brian Scott have not had a good season so far and were hoping for a better result this time out in the Data Dot Raceco, which is powered by a 2-litre Ford motor. Nissan Sugarbelt 400 winners Gerald Mundell and Billy Bond were slowed by gearbox problems on the 3rd place Class A Prolonged Bat, while Yucky Hubert and Jacques Cross were forced to retire when the drivetrain cried enough on the Jojo Tanks VW Beetle.
First I lost rear-wheel drive just after the refuel, and then about 20 kilometers back I lost left front, so I'm only driving on the right front at the moment, and the thick sand I'm struggling.
Weir Smith and Minute had to make up lost ground after a lengthy pit stop and had to contend with having to overtake slower vehicles on the route. A nudge was sometimes required to persuade slower vehicles to move over. A side protection bar came adrift on the O'Hagan's Kopanang Hotel Super Team Jimco and punctured the left rear tyre. They had already had 3 punctures and could ill afford this delay. There was drama too for early special vehicle category leaders Harkus and Berthold. This damage looked terminal.
So what is wrong?
A few problems there. We had a puncture 5 k's after DSP, and I put the wrong offset wheel on as a spare, and it put too much load on the top arm, and as you can see over there, it's destroyed the arm. That's racing.
Masterful driving by race leader Geniel de Villiers in the proudly South African Nissan Hardbody. Production Vehicle Championship leaders Hannes Grobler and Richard Leek were still second, 8 minutes behind de Villiers and Jordan. Word had it that the proudly South African Nissan Hardbody was slipping in and out of 4-wheel drive. Foss and Griffith were still third, but would be forced to retire with oil pressure problems on the proudly South African Nissan Hardbody, which would leave the way open for Pieter Haasbroek and Freddie Skeppers to grab 3rd place at the overnight stop. Cronje and Chris Birkin were on a charge in the Castrol Toyota Hilux 2.7i and now had 20 minutes in hand over Class E rivals Schroeder and Peckham in the Team Ford Racing Ranger. An historic moment as a Class B vehicle led the special vehicle category overall. Andrew Birkin's masterful performance in the Wingfoot certainly gave the Class A field a wake-up call. John Moore and Fred Bellner in the ailing Shell Connex Chenoweth would have to pull out all the stops that they hoped to regain the special vehicle category lead and couldn't afford to waste time wrong slotting like this. Hubert limped towards retirement as Schroeder and Peckham steamed by in the 2nd place Class E Team Ford Racing Ranger. The KwaZulu-Natal cane farmers won Class E on the Nissan Sugarbelt 400 and were hoping to repeat the feat in Botswana. Taylor and Deshalane had moved up into 3rd place in the special vehicle category and 2nd in Class B in the Rollerbach JRE. GBS Nissan racing pair Labuskaghni and Gerber had moved up to 7th in the production vehicle category and were 2nd in Class D. Zane Pierce and Henny Vosloo, competing in only their 2nd off-road race, soldiered in on 3rd place in Class E in the badly battered High-Q Ford Ranger. Terence Marsh and Trevor Ayer in the Nashua Mobile Racing Jimco, powered by a supercharged Mitsubishi V6 engine, had moved up to 2nd in Class A, but would run out of fuel 60 kilometers from the end of day 1. Phil Nell was still 3rd in Class B and 5th overall in the special vehicle category in the Luke Africa Truggy, but had a gaggle of production vehicles bearing down on him. The 9th placed Atlas Copco Chicago pneumatic Jeep had used 35 litres of engine oil in just over 400 kilometres, which necessitated regular time-consuming stops to replenish the oil. A consistent drive saw MC Kutsia and Marius Liebenberg holding down 10th overall and 3rd in Class D in one of the 4 GBS Racing Nissans. Andre and Yuri Duplessis survived a collision with Nick Goslar and Glenn Stain in the O'Hagan's Copperman Hotel Super Team Raceco and were well placed in Class E. A collision with Zane Pierce's Ford held the radiator on Kasi Kutsia's Castrol Toyota Hilux, and he and Aki Fourie would be forced to retire at the end of day 1. Despite gearbox problems, Gerald Mandel and Billy Bond had moved up to 3rd in Class A in the Nissan V6 powered Prolonged Battle. Local hero Shimi van Vieren had been driving solo after co-driver Carlos de Abreu had to retire with an injured back. He had started 62nd and worked his way up to 4th in Class D and 14th overall.
Stop!